What if the news you trust was never meant to inform you, only to steer you? In the 1970s, a U.S. Senate investigation quietly admitted something most people still don't want to believe. Intelligence agencies had embedded themselves inside the media. This wasn't a conspiracy theory. It was called Project MockingBird. And today, we're asking the uncomfortable questions no one wants to answer. Did it ever really stop? And before we get into the episode today, guys, as always, a big thank you to all of our Patreon supporters and our Substack supporters. We are a grassroots channel. Without support from viewers like you, our work would not be possible. So thank you so much. If you would like to help support the work we do here on Esoteric Atlanta, there's a link below in the description box to our Patreon account and our Substack. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. Of course, my name is Brice. I really wanted to do this show as a live with you guys. However, I don't have StreamYard, and so doing share screen is really complicated when you don't have StreamYard. And so I figured I would do this as a pre-record, but if you guys want to do a follow-up live where we can discuss this together as a group, then let me know in the comment section below. Before we get into it, though, I am going to be showing some clips from some other channels, and of course, under Fair Use Section 107 of the United States Constitution, we have the ability to share other people's work for the purpose of commentary, and that is what I am doing here on my channel. We know that Hidden True Crime likes to strike people because it appears, allegedly, in my opinion, that Lauren Matthias thinks she's above the rules, which is what we're going to get into today with Project MockingBird. Now, before we get into it, there are 3 channels. I know there's way more channels, but there's definitely 3 channels I want to share with you guys in case you are not subscribed to these channels regarding this situation that we've got going on with Hidden True Crime. The first is Hella from Excited Utterance. I'm actually going to be showing a clip of hers. Well, it's part of the body cam footage. I was like scouring the internet trying to find a particular point where Lauren says she's a real journalist on the body cam footage, and I found that Hella had actually clipped it on her channel. So we're going to look at that a little bit later in the episode. So thank you so much, Hella. Please make sure if you are not subscribed to Hella from Excited Utterance, please go ahead and do so. And it's actually on her channel because she kind of co-host with this guy named Dolly, and he's in America, she's in Australia, and apparently they share a StreamYard. I heard her say that, and I didn't know you could do that. So thank you, Hella, for saying that, because I haven't been able to afford StreamYard. So if I can get a couple of my friends to share an account with me, I would only use StreamYard for lives anyway. So thank you, Hella, for giving that heads up. But anyway, guys, make sure you're subscribed to them. Also, Every Day with Jay, she's hysterical, and she does a really good breakdown. You can see she does long format lives. So if you enjoy long format lives, I would definitely suggest subscribing to Every Day with Jay. And of course, as always, let's look at Crush's channel here. Difficult Research, because Crusha, in my opinion, is the VIP in all of this. She's the MVP, not the VIP, the MVP, the MVP. There we go. Of course, she's a VIP too, but the most valuable player in all of this. She is JJ's biological aunt, and so she is a victim in this. She is part of this whole story, and as I said in an earlier live, until Lauren had her meltdown on the 9-hour live, I didn't know about Crusha, and I feel terrible about that because I agree with all of Crusha's research. And in fact, hopefully what I have to say in this deep dive today, which is all my opinion based off of what I know of the powers that be, I would think that maybe Crusha might agree with me too. But anyway, if you like conspiratorial evidence, like really deep diving into like the story behind the story, please make sure you check out Crusha's channel. You know, I started studying the establishment because of what was going on in the world around me. Kresha had to start studying the establishment because of what happened to her personally. And so that's a huge pill to swallow. And so mad respect to Kresha. Make sure you are subscribed to all of these ladies' channels. And I know there's many channels I'm leaving out, but there's so many people who are doing such a good job covering this shit show, we'll say, for a lack of a better word, on the YouTube streets. So anyway, I am referring to something that I spoke about in my last live. So if you missed the last live that I did, let me pull it up for you now. Where is it? I had it pulled up. There it is. My last live that I did with you guys, which was done 4 days ago, the true hidden motives of hidden true crime. I spoke about what I believed were in Lauren's text messages, that she was freaking out. And I personally believe, and guys, this is just my speculation. I don't know this as fact. I don't know any of this stuff as fact. This is all circumstantial speculation on my part because of what I know and things that Lauren has said herself. But I want to reiterate that I don't know that this is true. This is just my opinion at the moment. So please do your own research. Do not send hate to anybody. This to me is just kind of a lesson for all of us to learn when it comes to these YouTube streets, about who to trust and who not to trust based on evidence. That's all I'm getting at. And I can't wait to hear y'all's opinion after we're done. Now, the reason why I'm going to expand upon what I believe are in the text messages has to do with Project Mockingbird. And when I was talking about Project Mockingbird in the last live I did, about half of the people in the chat knew exactly what I was talking about, but half of them didn't. And the people who didn't know what I was talking about are very weary of Lauren as well. And so I thought it would be great to sit down and just do an episode on why I believe Lauren is involved in what they call Project Mockingbird. My opinion, this is strictly for entertainment and educational purposes only. I could be wrong, but we're going to get into it. First of all, I know that I have a lot of viewers here that are not familiar with what is going on in the YouTube streets right now. And the funny thing is a lot of my viewers who've been with me for a long time, if you don't know what I'm talking about with Hidden True Crime and Lauren Matthias and Dr. John and this whole shit show, this is right up your alley. This is stuff we've been studying literally for 6 years. Cover-ups, big public news stories, and the truth behind them. And even though this news story hasn't made it to mainstream circuits, it's really big right now here on YouTube. All right, so I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what's going on. Then we're going to actually look at a Reddit post for my friends who don't know. So let's see here. I just asked ChatGPT simply just to give me a breakdown for you guys. Then we're going to go over to Reddit. So about Hidden True Crime. Hidden True Crime is a popular true crime YouTube channel and podcast hosted by forensic psychologist and journalist Lauren Matthias and her partner, Dr. John Matthias. They focus on psychology-driven analysis of criminal cases and often live stream discussions, case updates, and commentary. All right, I've enjoyed their channel. They have over 300,000 subscribers. I really enjoyed their Lori Daybell, the Daybell case coverage, but now I'm very skeptical of what they were doing. We're going to get into it. Did not like their Delphi coverage. Really rubbed me the wrong way because I don't think Richard Allen is guilty. But that gets us more into Project Mockingbird. So just hold on. So just so you guys know, that's who Hidden True Crime is. They have a niche, right? They're covering hidden true crime cases. Lauren Matthias herself is a journalist. She was on mainstream media, which we're going to get to again with Project Mockingbird. And Dr. John Matthias is a forensic psychologist. And so really great idea for a channel. But nonetheless, there was a recent controversy. Over the past few months, the channel has been embroiled in a highly publicized drama that has divided parts of the online true community. The core issues include stalking and harassment allegations. Lauren has publicly claimed that she has been cyber-stalked and harassed by an individual online, leading to extended live streams and public statements about her safety concerns. A 9-hour live stream. Like, tell me you're self-obsessed without telling me you're self-obsessed. There were legal proceedings around the situation, including a request to keep a hearing closed to the public. But according to community reports, she dropped her legal action after a judge indicated that the next hearing would be open to the public. Long live stream and public response. Lauren has done multiple hour-long live streams discussing the situation, calling out critics, and responding to what she describes as bullying. So anybody like me that questions her apparently were bullies. Go figure. These streams have drawn mixed reactions from the online community, with some supporters saying she's being unfairly targeted and others accusing her of amplifying drama for attention. Backlash within the true crime community on Reddit and other platforms, community members discuss the situation as more drama than genuine safety issues, with some accusing the host of mishandling the conflict or seeking to suppress transparency. Some commentators have criticized Dr. John's public support and commentary, suggesting his analysis blended professional language with personal defense, which has unsettled parts of the audience. Why it matters. This controversy highlights broader tensions in true crime spaces online, personal safety claims versus public skepticism, the challenge of managing community drama, why building a brand, how live streaming and direct engagement can amplify conflicts instead of diffusing them. Unlike more concrete controversies, this situation is rooted in interpersonal dynamics, legal gray areas, and audience perception rather than outright platform policy violations. All right. So now we're going to go, let me just clear it here to make sure we get the right screen up for you guys. Let's go to Reddit. And guys, I am so new to Reddit. I joined Reddit because of this controversy. Usually Reddit to me is a cesspool, but I wanted to keep up with the subreddit of hidden true crime with what was going on, because I really believe there's a bigger story here. So this person created a timeline, Fast Jackfruit 2013, a couple of days ago, created a timeline. So I'm going to go ahead and read through their timeline. Thank you. Thank you for this Reddit user for doing this. Appreciate it. So let's look at this. Note, they say, this is a summary of what I believe are some but not all of the main points. I am certain that I have many of the facts wrong, and the timeline is probably wrong. I apologize if there are inaccuracies here and urge people to clarify any problems they see with my summary. Part 1. At a certain point in the spring of 2025, Lauren Matthias figured out that some of the people she had been bad-mouthing over the years had become aware of her shit-talking. These included former friends, fellow crime podcasters, family members of crime victims whose cases she had covered, and possibly members of LE. I don't know what LE is, so if someone could let me know down in the comment section below, that would be great. It seems Lauren has a habit of love bombing people, especially people in the true crime world, befriending them and also urging them for their talent. She'd have friends do jobs for hidden true crime such as graphic design, research, and fact checking. Many of them walked away from her because they felt she was not loyal or kind. Former friends include Christina, a graphic artist who has done some work for HTC, as well as Mr. Breakfast, one of the contributors to this Reddit sub, who had done some research for HTC. There is also Gigi, who is an accomplished YouTuber herself, but there appears to be quite a few others. Gigi has been shown copies of text in which Lauren was rude about her. Gigi made a note of this but moved on. She's a grown-up. Sometime in June, Lauren also received an email sent from an anonymous Proton email account in which the sender said that very soon someone will release all of the texts and emails in which Lauren had disparaged all of these peoples. There is a strong belief among many people that the email was sent by Lauren to herself. There's some good evidence for this too, but that's a long story. We're going to get into why she would do this if my speculation is correct. What would any sane, responsible adult do at this point? You can shrug your shoulders and walk away from this, or you can reach out to some of the former friends, colleagues, etc., and try to apologize for shit talking about them. Lauren did not do this. Instead, she called her lawyer, also her brother, and she called the cops. It gets pretty murky here. She tried to convince the cops that she is the target of an extortion scheme. The cop didn't buy it, so then she argued that people are hacking into her HTC account and breaking the law by illegally sharing text and emails. She also tried to argue that people who receive texts from her have no right to share those texts with other people. Lauren told the cops that all these ex-employees of her are out there to get her. She labeled every one of these people not as former friends, but as former contracted employees, thus denying the fact that she had once cultivated actual friendships with these people. She and Grayson asked the cops to call a slew of her former friends to try to find out which one of them was leaking this material. They asked the cops to warn these people that they are walking a fine line by sharing information about Lauren and that they are breaking the law. They told the cops to tell these people that they might be guilty of harassment or cyberbullying and a whole bunch of crap. The cop called Gigi. She said she doesn't care. She isn't leaking anything and she has nothing to do with any of this drama. The cop called Christina, who tried to explain to the cop that he was being manipulated by a mean, two-faced person who is law enforcement. That's what LE stands for, law enforcement, who is weaponizing law enforcement to silence former friends who have fallen out with Lauren over her mean behavior. The cop reported back to Lauren and Grayson and told them Gigi is a dead end, but the Christina seems to be angry about them or something. This all happened in June. And so basically, in which we're going to look at a small part of the body cam footage, Lauren was claiming basically that she had these text communications with her friends and that they belonged to Lauren and the friends were going to put them out. But the cop was like, if you're having a text communication with somebody, it's both of yours. Like, you don't own it. You're the person who's also communicating with you. That's their text too. So there's really nothing we can do if they release it. Anyway, part 2. In early July, Christina posted a few TikTok videos in which she bemoaned the loss of a friendship that she once prized. She never actually named Lauren, but she expressed frustration and anger at the betrayal of what she thought had been a friendship. At a certain point, Lauren, Grayson, and Lauren's lawyer brother kept searching for this mythical leak who might somehow blacken her reputation by sharing this supposedly damning material about her. I think at this point, Lauren had sent communications to several people, including Christina, ordering them not to share past emails with her. At some point around late summer or early autumn, they sent out several cease and desist letters asking people not to share their past communications with Lauren. At a certain point, Lauren must have seen Christina's videos, and so she figured Christina would be a good target. Lauren, Christina, and the lawyer then created a narrative in which Christina is an unhinged former employee of Lauren's who has become obsessed with her and is stalking her. We are coming close now to September and CrimeCon, which was September 4th to the 7th. Last year, when Christina and Lauren were still friends, Christina had shown great enthusiasm about going to CrimeCon in Colorado. She spent upwards of $4,000 for a VIP ticket, airfare, and hotel, etc. to go. Lauren told people she did not intend to attend. Lauren wanted to punish Christina. What's the best way to do that? Why not publicly shame her and get her ejected from CrimeCon? In late August, she decided to attend CrimeCon. She also went to court and asked for an emergency restraining order against Christina. Christina's husband was home when the restraining order was served, but she had already flown to CrimeCon. CrimeCon was held in Aurora, Colorado. As it happens, Lauren had become pals with a homicide detective at the police department who had worked as the lead detective on a case that HTC had covered. Meet Detective Bobby Joe Olson. So Lauren called Olson and asked her personally to find Christina and eject her from CrimeCon because she is a danger to Lauren. Bobby Joe sent an email to the entire department. We have a copy of the email from a FOIA request in which she asked all the cops who were doing private extra work as security for CrimeCon to find Christina and serve the restraining order and throw her out. And that's what they did. Christina is allowed to stay at the hotel, but she's not allowed to go inside the convention space at all. There's a body cam footage of her being served the court papers and escorted out. Part 3. That wasn't enough for Laura. We have footage from body-worn cameras as well as Christina's own meta glasses that shows that Grayson and Laura went out looking to find Christina at the hotel bar. Christina already was inside the bar when Lauren entered. Lauren asked the cop to kick her out, and they did do just that. Shortly after CrimeCon, Lauren had to prove that she was had real grounds for a restraining order. Emergency restraining orders are given out to just one party without knowledge of the other party because of circumstances. However, courts then need to have a hearing on whether they were properly obtained. There's a court hearing during which Christina's lawyer argues that this restraining order is bullshit. The judge seems to agree. Shortly after this, Lauren posted a 9-hour video in which she cosplays as the victim of bullying, harassment, and stalking and claims she fears for her life. She and John also uploaded a 4-hour video in which they doubled down. Now, this is important. At one point, At this point, none of the police body cam footage was known. None of the court paperwork were available. None of the police reports were released. There was no independent information about any of this. Lauren spun a narrative which paints Christina as a violent predator who is obsessed with Lauren with destroying her life. Then thousands of people will say, wow, poor Lauren, she is the victim of vicious stalking. Lauren then goes on a little press tour. She appears on Duty Rod and spins the same story while Grayson appears on Web Sleuths Live in which she talks about being victimized. Then very, very slowly the facts start to come out, starting with the court hearing. We get a copy of Christina's statement to the court. We start getting other pieces of information and they are just now starting to fit together. Other people have been affected by this. Several of Lauren's former friends have been accused by her and her lawyers of nefarious crimes. Mr. Breakfast has been accused of being a criminal and a hacker, and his employer has been contacted and told that his employee is a criminal. Hella from Excited Utterance had on her show 2 former friends of Lauren's who shared how they've been accused of things they've never done. One of them knows Christina as well and shares her views on how Christina has been very badly treated. Mr. Breakfast has posted several posts on his sub explaining the accusations made against him. This includes a letter sent to his employer in November. Also, in November, Christina's husband and her mother received an anonymous snail mail letter which she was accused of trying to ruin Lauren's reputation. This is important. Lauren's behavior seems to have been consistent over the past 6 months. While HTC claimed they have moved on, it is clear they continue to make accusations and to reach out to people connected with the police that they have actively been persecuting. Because frankly, that's what HTC is doing. They are targeting people and trying to harm their reputations and their lives. All right, I think it's deeper than that though. So do I think that Lauren has some sort of personality disorder? Yeah, I do believe. I speculate that she does have either borderline personality disorder, histrionic, maybe a little bit of narcissism. I do agree with a lot of people. I'm not diagnosing her. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I do believe that she is a spastic woman child who is acting out like people with untreated personality disorders do. However, 2 things can be true. I think Lauren probably has a personality disorder. I also now believe Dr. John might as well. I don't know that as a fact. That's just my opinion. However, I think there's also something deeper going on. I think that Lauren is absolutely a part of controlled opposition. Now, let's back up to something that I said in my live. Back when I first found Hidden True Crime, they sold their channel as we have a forensic psychologist with a journalist. Now, when we say journalist, we mean that Lauren was a part of the mainstream media machine. There are clips of her. I'm not going to share them because of her. She likes to strike people's channel for unfair reasons. But she ended up, and I'm not super clear. I watched her Mormon stories where she talked about it and trying to get different jobs and all this kind of stuff. She wanted to work for CNN. There are other people on these YouTube streets that gossip and say that she was run out of town from her job. I don't know what's true, but something is very fishy about her job as a journalist because nothing seems super clear about her timeline of her resume, basically. Now, when I first started listening to Hidden True Crime, and I heard that Lauren was a journalist who had worked on mainstream media, my heart sank. I got a gut punch. My gut immediately told me this woman is part of Project Mockingbird. This woman is part of the establishment. She's doing the bidding of the establishment. But then I got mad at myself and I second guessed myself because there are a lot of journalists, ex-journalists from legacy media on YouTube who have left legacy media because they didn't want to be a part of the machine. They did not want to be given barking orders. They wanted to do their own research and present stories factually, not pushing a certain narrative. And so I got mad at myself because I was like, Brice, you got to give her a chance. She might have left mainstream media like these other journalists because she was uncomfortable with barking orders, and bless her heart, if that's what she's done, I want to support her. But there's a reason why my gut, now I know, there's a reason why there was alarm bells going off in my gut. These other people on YouTube who are ex-journalists, my alarm bells never went off. So that's that gut reaction. I knew that something was wrong. All right, so let's go back. Before we get into Project Mockingbird, let's go back to these text messages. So why, besides potentially having a personality disorder, why would Lauren draw so much attention to Christina and Lindsay and all these people and create this whole chaos around the fact that she wants people to believe these people are harassing her and stalking her and she's fearing for her life? I personally, yeah, she might be shit talking people in the text messages. There might be evidence of her having an affair, but all of that I think is pretty benign compared to what really might be revealed. And we're going to listen to body cam footage. Dr. John does say to the cop, if these text messages are released, everything we've worked for is going to be gone. That is very striking to me. So what is in these text messages? It has to be more. There has to be something more than just her shit talking her friends and victims or maybe an affair. There has to be something more there that would pull down their channel, which would cause so many people to reject them. I think, my opinion, is that there is evidence in these text messages that she is controlled opposition. That is my opinion. I believe that there's evidence in these text messages that she has been paid by the Mormon Church, and we know the Mormon Church is connected to the establishment, to control narratives with her husband, who's a psychologist. That's why I go back and re-question her coverage of the Daybell case now, because listening to what Kresha has to say, and Lauren really tried to triangulate, what they call triangulate, from what I mean, Kresha might feel differently, the Woodcocks might feel differently, but from as an outsider looking in, listening to Kresha, what I hear is that Lauren tried to triangulate Kresha and her parents. Why is that? Because that's what controlled opposition does. Not only does controlled opposition become the forebearer of truth of a narrative they're pushing for the powers that be, but they're also there to kind of do damage control. So my opinion, looking at it now, Lauren was sent in to buddy up to these victims to kind of be a handler. Handle the situation, and Kresha was a problem for Lauren. Now, Kresha, if you're watching this, girl, you're so freaking smart. Like, you're way too smart for Lauren, and I think that's why she had to triangulate you. It sounds to me, and Kresha, please comment in the comment section if I'm wrong about this, but it sounds to me like Lauren triangulated you away from your parents, that she really tried to make your parents believe that you weren't smart and that you didn't know what you were talking about, and maybe were overwhelming your parents who were already overwhelmed with the situation. And the thing is that Kresha was the one who figured out that there is more to the Daybell trial than meets the eye. We know that the Mormon Church does a lot of satanic rituals, and we're going to do a whole series on that. We're going to start on this channel actually before the new year of exposing Mormonism. And before I say that, I do understand there are lots of really good people in the Mormon faith. I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about the powers that be that have manipulated the people. And these LDS hierarchies, these quorum of the 12, these prophets, to them, we're all prophets, bro. We all can talk to God. They are part of the establishment. They're part of the elite. And there is a lot of blood rituals in Mormonism, which we're going to get more into, blood atonements. And I believe, in my opinion, that what happened with the Daybell case it's not some fringe group of Mormonism. Now, I know that most Mormons would never do this. Like, I get that there are really good people in the Mormon faith. Most Mormons would never hurt another person. But higher up in the elites, they do. They do this. And there's lots of whistleblowers that have come out about this and the temple rituals. And Kresha was really talking a lot about this. And I think Lauren was sit in to try to shut Kresha up, to put Kresha in the corner, make sure Kresha got no attention from the media, make sure that Kresha was perceived by people as being crazy, tinfoil hat, tried to divide the family up, and then get on the YouTube streets with her husband and sell this story that Lori Vallow Daybell and Chad Daybell are just like a one-off, that they're just some fringe group, and that don't worry. And that helps clean up the mess for the powers that be to continue doing what they're doing. So I think that Lauren thought, by creating this whole chaos around Christina, that if everybody believed Lauren, because why wouldn't they? She's Lauren Matthias. Why wouldn't they believe her? If everyone believed her, then if text messages were to come out that were damning, claiming these things, then Lauren could just claim that they were AI, that they were faked, and people would believe Lauren because poor Lauren. But what's happened is that people have gotten smart. So many people are aware of the powers that be. They're aware of the religion, we'll say, because it is a religion, that the powers that be practice, the Sabbatean religion. They all have different flavors, like Mormonism, Catholicism, they all have different flavors, but it's all the Sabbatean, which is a death cult religion that worships Lucifer, basically, allegedly, for entertainment purposes and only, YouTube entertainment purposes only. And so, that's just my my ex-Mormon texting me now, so that I'm going to be bringing on my show. So I think that Lauren was sent in to do damage control, and she freaked out because these text messages might be released. If that's the case, if I'm correct, then that means that Dr. John is aware too. Now, I know they're a really good therapist. I had a great therapist. I had a really great therapist when I went through trauma therapy, but there are some therapists that are also part of the system. Hello, Jody Hildebrandt. We're learning more about Dr. John and his supposed connections to Jody Hildebrandt. So things are looking, the tinfoil hat wearing people might not be so crazy now, because I think that this is what's going to come out. I think it's going to be exposed that Lauren is part of the controlled opposition, that she is still part of the machine that's mainstream media, and she's very much part of Project Mockingbird, even though she might not know that's what it is. Anyway, and now a quick word from our sponsors. Every year begins the same way. A turning of the wheel, a thinning of the veil between who you were and who you are becoming. Every year, the world rushes to tell you what to do with your body. Change it, control it, conquer it. But what if this year you listened instead? At Fusion Body Studio, we believe the body is not something to dominate or something to escape. It's a threshold, a language, a living archive of memory, tension, strength, and resilience. Movement is not punishment here. It's a ritual. This is a space for those who feel the call to move differently, to train without violence, to build strength without disconnection, to remember that discipline can be devotional. Fusion Body Studio blends bar-inspired strength, functional mobility, slow intelligent sequencing, nervous system aware movement, along with traditional yogic, Eastern, and spiritual philosophy. So your practice becomes something you enter, not something you survive. Every class is designed to meet you at the edge of effort and ease, where muscles awaken, where breath steadies, where attention returns to the body as home, all levels, all the time. Because wisdom doesn't ask where you've been, only that you arrive. This online fitness boutique is for bodies in transition, nervous systems that need guidance, strength that wants to last a lifetime. It is for those who sense that consistency matters more than intensity, that presence matters more than perfection. And as the calendar turns, we invite you into this practice. From December 20th, 2025 through January 20th, 2026, you can enter Fusion Body Studio with 40% off a one-time purchase using the code NEWYOU26 in all caps. Again, that's NEWYOU26 in all caps. This is not about a New Year's resolution. It's about an embodiment, a return to movement that feels intelligent, intentional, alive. Inside Fusion Body Studio, you will find bar fusion classes that sculpt and stabilize, mobility flows that restore space and range, practices that strengthen without serving sensation, so your body becomes something you trust again. You do not need a new body this year. You need a new relationship with the one you're already living in. One rooted in awareness, one shaped by patience, one guided by inner listening. Join us. Again, use new U26 for 40% off a one-time purchase, valid December 20th, 2025 through January 20th, 2026. Step into the new year not with force, but with intention. Fusion Body Studio. Movement as ritual, strength as devotion. Let's get into it, guys. So let's talk a little bit about Project Mockingbird for those, again, who, I just looked up on ChatGPT basic stuff about Project Mockingbird. Most people have done a lot of research into it, but I have to be very careful about what I say on the YouTube street. So I'm going to pull this up. So Project Mockingbird refers to a Cold War era three-letter agency program aimed at influencing media narratives, especially during the late 1940s to 1970s. It sits at the intersection of intelligence, propaganda, and public perception. This is why it is still invoked today in discussions about media trust and psychological influence. What it is, historically supported. Origins begin in the late 1940s alongside the creation of the three-letter agency. Purpose to counter Soviet propaganda and shape public opinion domestically and abroad during the Cold War. Methods: the three-letter agency cultivated relationships with journalists, editors, and media outlets. Some journalists knowingly cooperated and others were allegedly unaware of their information was guided or filtered. Confirmed: the Church Committee of 1975, a U.S. Senate investigation which revealed that the three-letter agency had relationships with hundreds of journalists worldwide. Three-letter agency director William Colby admitted that these practices under oath. All right, so look at the date here. So what actually happened at the end of the in the middle of the 1940s? We had the end of World War II with the Yazis and Hitler. So this actually started with Hitler. I can't say, it's ridiculous. We can't say on these YouTube streets, but you guys know who I'm talking about. That was the machine, the media machine that the Yazis used during that time to convince people of the atrocities that were going on. There was another operation called Operation Paperclip, in which, actually, let's just type it in so you guys can see. Operation. All right, let's see what the old ChatGPT has to say. Operation Paperclip was a secret U.S. government program after World War II that brought Yahtzee scientists, engineers, and intelligence specialists to the United States, often by erasing or sanitizing their Yahtzee past in order to gain an advantage over the Soviet Union. It's one of the most ethically disturbing chapters of the Cold War. What Operation Paperclip was? Time frame, 1945 to early 1950s, run by U.S. Army, later the three-letter agencies and other agencies. Goal: secure German scientific and military expertise before the USSR could. Name: origin: paper clips were used to attach revised personal files that removed their Yahtzee affiliations. Who was brought over? More than 1,600 German scientists were relocated to the U.S., including Werner von Braun, a former SS officer, key developer of the V-2 rocket, but built with forced labor from the camps. Later became a NASA hero, helping lead the Saturn V and the Apollo moon missions. Other recruits included experts in rocketry and missiles, chemical and biological weapons, aviation and aeronautics, intelligence and counterintelligence. Some had documented involvement in war crimes, slave labor, or human experimentation. The moral compromise: officially the U.S. claimed it would not recruit committed Yahtzees. In practice, records were altered or destroyed. Yahtzee party members were downplayed or omitted. Ethical objections were overridden by Cold War urgencies. The message was clear. Justice was negotiable if knowledge was valuable enough. Why the U.S. did it? The Soviet Union was running its own version of paperclip. American leadership feared failing behind in missile technology, space exploration, and weapons development. Paperclip helped lay the groundwork for the U.S. space program, intercontinental ballistics missiles development, and Cold War military superiority. Why it still matters? Operation Paperclip raises concerns. Let's start that again. Operation Paperclip raises uncomfortable questions that echo today. Can immoral actions be justified by national security? How much history gets rewritten in the name of progress? Who gets remembered as a villain and who gets rebranded as a pioneer? It also fuels ongoing mistrust towards government secrecy, intelligence agencies, and clean historical narratives. Common myths versus common facts. Myth, Paperclip was a conspiracy theory. Fact, it's fully documented and acknowledged by the U.S. government. Myth, all scientists were innocent technicians. Fact, several had direct ties to Yahtzee crimes. Myth, it ended with World War II. Fact, it shaped decades of Cold War policy and culture. All right, you guys, so that Operation Paperclip is what started Project Mockingbird. Now, they say what it's not. There's no solid evidence that the three-letter agency currently runs a single centralized program to controls all media. Every major news organization is directly owned or scripted by intelligence agencies. Many modern claims expand Mockingbird into a catch-all conspiracy, which goes beyond that of documented supporters. Why it still matters. Project Mockingbird is important because it proved one key idea. Democratic societies are vulnerable to narrative control, not just force. This raises enduring questions. How much influence should intelligence agencies have over information? Where is the line between national security and manipulation? How do psychological operations evolve in the age of social media algorithms and AI? Modern parallels. While Project Mockingbird itself is defunct, so they say, information warfare, perception management, and narrative shaping are openly acknowledged today and used by governments, corporations, and platforms, not just intelligence agencies. So here I go again. What's my problem? The government, not men, the government. All right, so as you see, they say, yeah, this actually happened. This is documented. It's not just a conspiracy theory, Dr. John. It actually happened. Stop making people feel crazy when the government has actually released this information. But they're quick to say, but we don't do that anymore. Oh, just so you guys know why so many people are now rejecting things like this have to also do with Operation Paperclip. Look into Bayer aspirin. Who was the Bayer family? Look into these experiments and what they're doing now. Anyway, that's a topic for another day. But all of this stuff is still, in my opinion, happening. That's just my opinion. I do have evidence of it, though. So let's go ahead and I'm going to share screen again. And I found somebody who had clips. So this is the Mockingbird News, a YouTube channel actually called Mockingbird News. So if you want to subscribe to them. And look what they have clipped. We'll play as much of it as I think I can without getting into trouble. Again, I'm quoting fair use, Section 107 under the United States government Constitution that grants us freedom of speech in order to give commentary on copyrighted information.
The quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces. But
plaguing our country.
Sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
So I ask you, were they scripted? Yeah. Those were news outlets all over the United States. They all said the same fucking thing. That's Mockingbird. That's the Mockingbird media. And Lauren, that's why it's kind of embarrassing that you keep sprouting out your journalism background like it's some big deal. Most people, this is why legacy media is losing money, because most people know this now. Most people know MSM, legacy media, is entertainment. It's not real. All right. Lauren doesn't seem to know that though. And Lauren and John, I've seen them actively make fun of people who believe these conspiracies when there's literal evidence to back. Let me make sure. Okay, hopefully this is the right one. So again, this is from Hella's channel. I'm gonna make sure. Hopefully this is the right one, because I've looked through a lot of them. I have a lot of them in my history. All right, you guys, we're skipping to the 10-minute mark, 29 seconds. So here we go.
Are lifesavers for people like you.
Yeah.
He's talking about NDAs.
Celebrities, Hollywood, all that stuff.
She's fine with it.
Because the cop has basically said you can't claim that someone's extorting you. They're not asking you for money. They're just going to share text messages that they were also involved. It's their property too. So he's saying you should actually probably get an NDA in the future if you don't want this to happen. So that's where we've left off.
Unfortunately, they were my influence. Well, I probably wasn't considered a public figure, and then I got.
You trusted them, and unfortunately, I mean, I've had a small business, so I get it.
Yeah.
They're great until they're not.
Right, and then it sucks. And then now that I'm a public figure, and there are other people that could be really hurt by this. Yeah. So
and the other people to be hurt, then they would be the victims, though, not you. So I understand that you're feeling for them, and you don't want them to be hurt. I understand that, but at that point, if they are hurt, that would be them going after persons based on them being the victim of whatever that is. Does that make sense?
So she's still playing that it's just shit talking in the text message, but again, to go to this whole trouble, I think there's more to it. And again, I think she's trying to set these women up as crazy, and trying to get the cops involved so that when the truth is released, she can have plausible deniability. My opinion.
Yeah, right. So he's understanding. I just want you to know. At first, we were like, we just gave him what we've explained right now is like, look, I am the victim, but we have a big concern about the actual victims in the case.
So she keeps reiterating to the audience, I am the victim, I am the victim, I am the victim, I am the victim. And if you know anything about MK Ultra, which is part of MockingBird, when you repeat words, it starts to implant a truth in your head so that you constantly see Lauren as the victim. So when the truth comes out, again, there's plausible deniability. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, it's like almost like a spell that she's casting.
Pieces we cover and then being re-victimized by my pieces, by my private messages that come out. So at first, I just want you to know, and he understands that this is officer, what was your last name? I'm sorry. Bolby. He's great. And, and we're working with circumstantial evidence right now. We know that. He understands, again, that we don't want to re-victimize any victims. So at first we're like, well, we know who you could figure out the source from and has all the information. He said, wouldn't consider me a friend right now, but.
So she just said Gigi, who has a channel. If I can remember, I'll tag the channel down below. But if for some reason I forget, you guys, please be sure to tag her. I think it's like Pretty Lies and Alibis, her channel down. So she's already starting to cast she's throwing anything against the wall to see who will stick. And it just happens to be Christina who sticks in order to project the impending doom onto somebody else. So that, again, she's the victim and nobody knows that she really is not the victim, but part of the problem.
But she had the information, and so he was going to call her, and now I'm rethinking because I think that could put fuel on the fire. I'm just thinking about protecting everyone else. Do we want him to? I don't know if we should have him call Gigi right now or not. He wants to know because I don't want to hurt. Like, would that make them release stuff now because they're? Let's say he calls and he says there's no law that's frozen right now, as she asks. Does that empower them?
Well, but
But if it's not,
it's illegal. But,
I'm just thinking about protecting everyone else. Do we want to?
All right, so I'm going to skip forward to Dr. John now on the phone. And again, I'm going to tag this down below, you guys, so you can listen to the whole thing. But here we go.
I don't know if we should have him call Gigi right now or not. He wants to know because I don't want to hurt. Like, would that make them release stuff now because they're angry, right? Is this the Streisand effect where,
I want, so can you hear me?
He can hear you or you're on speaker.
Okay. The most important thing is we're about to have, all our hard work is about to be flattened or go down the drain in a minute. And
There it is. There it is. Did you hear what he said? All of our hard work is about to go down the drain in a minute. Why YouTube channels have survived way worse scandal than somebody talking shit. So why would Dr. John be concerned that what's going to come out is going to force their channel to go down the drain in a minute? It's not, I'm telling you guys, there's something more in this. My opinion is that Lauren's connection to Legacy Media and the LDS Church, she's got text messages that talk about her being controlled opposition. In an instant.
I mean, my goal is to get them to stop publishing private emails, texts, voicemails, right?
They're not private, though, if both parties were involved.
It's illegal by Nevada statute and federal law for them to share private information without our consent. We never gave consent. So if calling her is going to...
Do you see how Dr. John is twisting the law with this police officer to try to twist it? These are just text messages between friends. Every single one of us has done that. Screenshotted a message we had with a friend and sent it to somebody else. Every single one of us has done that. It is not against the law to share your own text messages.
To prevent them or stop them from publishing, then it's probably worth it.
So why would these two people, these two morons at Hidden True Crime, go on such a crazy attack to try to stop these text messages from either being released or create such a crazy narrative about the people releasing them that whatever is released is doubted by the public? Why would they would only go through this because of whatever is in those text messages? And it isn't shit talk. It isn't just shit talking.
But if it's not, she's not going to be the one that publishes it because she's liable.
I'll get back to the source though. And also, I mean, can he call?
Well, let's say he calls. Let's say he calls and he says there's no law that's broken right now, as she asks. Does that empower them?
Well, but they know. I'm sure the officer knows the Nevada statutes. Nevada's a two-party consent state. You can't just share private stuff with.
Again, this is twisting the law. And you see how Dr. John said that I'm sure the officer knows this, like blowing smoke. This is very manipulative of Dr. John, too. So not just Lauren, but Dr. John, highly manipulative.
Without consent.
In my opinion.
Gave consent.
Here's where
Terrifying. It's terrifying to me that, and it should be terrifying to like every citizen in Nevada, that somebody can just take your private correspondence and put it on blast publicly.
So this is not my exact forte, right? I'm a patrol officer. I already said that I've talked to my sergeant about this, and if we have to get a detective involved, we will. At the same time, though, there was no non-disclosure agreement. So if she gave passwords to employees to do business on her behalf, then there's kind of a gray area of how public is it compared to private.
I never gave.
Or part of the business doings per se.
My concern is the whole text of like these will be shown by your text messages. Like it's very clear that they are releasing your text message. And the fact that they were in your iCloud account, which is...
They were not in her iCloud account. This is where they're trying to manipulate you and set up a narrative. That's what MockingBird does, right? It sells you a narrative. If you are having a text conversation with a friend, and then that friend tells you something really dark, and then you have a falling out with that friend, and that dark thing that friend told you in your conversations, you think needs to be released because it's dark and dangerous. If you release that, it's not from the iCloud account. It's from the text messages. And you were in the conversation. It's not Lauren's text messages. Lauren, you don't own every conversation you have with somebody else. The person that's in that conversation with you is also a part of the conversation. It is their text messages too. It is their text. But you guys see how they're like trying to now put this idea that passwords were stolen, iCloud's account. No, they're just text messages. That's what Grayson had just said, these text messages. I don't have to go to I don't have to go to my mother's iCloud account to get the text messages that I've had between my mother and me. They're on my phone too. You see how they're trying to twist it and manipulate it?
I've never given them a password to my iCloud.
Like,
And you've seen a direct copy of a particular text then?
somebody showed me one in person. Yeah, I've seen things.
Or do you have it sent to you right now? One that you know for a fact is from your iCloud account?
Do we have one from?
Did you get it?
Here's what we usually do. We go by the screenshots showing the proof of, and I mean, it's kind of like a financial crime in a sense. We need all this documentation, the bank account records and all that other stuff, So having all this stuff, you can talk about it, you can say I saw it, but without the proof, once again, there's not a lot to go off of, or nothing to go off of.
See, there's no crime. There's no crime here.
What we need.
If he calls, I think if somebody official with law enforcement calls and says, we're aware of the fact that you believe that you've seen texts that are private correspondence.
These ones aren't iCloud, but these are her private messages that have been sent around.
So now they want, I just heard that's the first time I picked up that Dr. John was saying it too. They want this cop to call people and threaten them on their behalf. It's sick. It's sick. But these are people, in my opinion, who have covered up occult crimes, covered up blood ritual crimes. I believe they knowingly have covered up things in Delphi, covered up things in the Chad Daybell case, covered up really serious stuff that's gonna come out if these text messages are released. And I think that these people are the scum of the earth, my opinion. The fact, I'm not saying they do blood rituals, but the fact that they would cover that up for somebody for money is absolutely disgusting.
But, you guys, if you come and say, we have information.
They're crossing out names of who's in it.
Wait.
November 23rd, okay.
Wait, hold on, John. There's two people
So John is encouraging the cop to go threaten people, basically. Disgusting.
talking.
In my opinion, John should have his license revoked. That's just my opinion because of all this. Like, this should not be the way a therapist reacts.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead, John.
We have information that you've seen private texts that have been shared with you from Lauren's iCloud account, which, by the way, is a crime. That's illegal. It's a federal crime because we're going across state lines.
No, it's not. It's not, John. Just because you say it's a
Federal crime either. So,
John, just because you say something is a federal crime doesn't make it a federal crime.
the FBI would probably have to get involved with this.
I agree. There's actually two federal crimes here. Yes, I know the FBI meant it to jump in.
Because this may be more FBI than local.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
We all agree with that. But my biggest concern, though, John, is if Henderson police calls, because this isn't their jurisdiction, they're not federal, and they say that we don't know if there's a crime that's been committed. If she asks that
further,
then it goes further. And if he's still trying to figure that out, he can't say there's been a crime that's been committed.
Do you have a lawyer already?
I have a lawyer that is my brother. He sent cease and desist, and someone.
Just so you guys know, a lot of her family members are facing like incredible charges right now. It's crazy. I'm not even going to get into that, but like, doesn't seem like, and I know you're not your family. Like, I want to make that very clear. But given what we're seeing now and what we now know about some of her family members, it's sketchy. It's sketchy.
I wrote back saying, "Okay, dear Lord's brother. I mean, he's a good lawyer, so that's why I use him. But they But yeah, he said cease and desist and said these are private, and he cited case law and laws.
We did
So
say
she
files
said
and everything.
she has files and files of emails and texts, including voice
But
memos.
where'd she get them from?
Not for you to come in. We don't know.
Well, I thought you asked her.
We asked her and she wouldn't tell us her source, so I think she would tell you. But that was the question. Like you said, would they tell? You don't have to call if you don't want to, but I'm just...
No. I mean, if she's not going to share with you, then I don't know why she would share with me, because she doesn't have to. I'm guessing she's in the industry, right?
She's in the industry, yeah.
So once she ruins her reputation by giving up sources, then what's her job going to be?
He's having to tell a journalist this. A journalist this.
I hear you.
So that's the challenge of being in this kind of situation.
So I was also in the real news for a long time.
Mhm.
the real news. See, Lauren has this attitude that people like me and everybody else on the YouTube, we're not really reporters, but she is because she's part of legacy media, aka the establishment, aka the problem.
And so I kind of understand more how it works. She's an excellent journalist. She's a great journalist. She has not been in the real news, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So therefore, she hasn't been a part of Project Mockingbird, you know?
I believe that if police called her, she might say that I received it from this person.
Okay.
But you know, I hear you, and I respect that. Like, journalists wouldn't share, and she might not, but I think she might.
Okay.
So you guys make sure to subscribe to Hella's YouTube channel. I was about to say research channel, YouTube channel. And no, Gigi does not give up her sources. So anyway, there's so much more we can say about this. I also want to go through Delphi with their perspective and looking at the statistics of occult crime to further explain my hypothesis, my speculation that they are absolutely controlled opposition, and that's what's going to be coming out in those text messages. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, guys. And if you want to do a live where we talk about this publicly, let me know and we'll do it. All right, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember, don't be an asshole. Just say no to control. Just say no. Be that punk rock, you know, counterculture. Say no to the establishment. Say no to all these corporations that are corrupt, and just live your truthful, honest life. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.